He wants to help us!
Now, I've never played a God of War game, but I was so enchanted by trailers of the 4th installment that I decided to give this one a try. And God, am I glad that I did. If you haven't picked up a copy of this game yet, I suggest that you do. God of War, from start to finish, is a true visual masterpiece. I want to pay tribute to this moving, interactive work of art by detailing how the game uses visual storytelling so masterfully.
Close your heart to it.
One of the most impressive, bragged about tactics in the world of filmmaking is the one-shot. If you're not familiar with the term, a one-shot is an extended scene with no cuts. Essentially, everything happening in the shot must happen continuously, without a camera break. In most scenes, the camera will typically cut to another character, a close-up, or fade into the next scene. Without this tool, the director of the one-shot must master the take perfectly. The action should play out just right, or the entire shot has to be filmed again from start to finish. Birdman famously applies this concept and appears to only have a handful of cuts. This makes the film seem like one continuous action. One of my favorite examples of the one-shot, or long take, however, is in the film Atonement. This shot involves hundreds of extras, animal stunts, a perfectly timed chorus, and 5 minutes of uninterrupted filming. Film principles and techniques don't just apply to film. Video games have utilized similar camera shots in their cutscenes. As video games become more advanced and rely on actual motion capture actors to film a scene, they mimic the world of cinema more closely. God of War is a visual masterpiece. Dori Azari, the director of photography, explained that creating this game was like climbing visual Mount Everest. He was right. God of War attempted to do something no artistic medium, no film, no video game has ever done before. They made the 30+ hours of God of War appear as one continuous shot. It's as if there isn't a camera there at all. Instead, we, the player, crawl into the game to follow Kratos and Atreus ourselves. Why does this film tactic work so successfully in God of War? Firstly, it's visually impressive. You don't have to understand the basics of film theory to be mesmerized by the way the camera moves perfectly around the characters. You don't have to understand the basic framing to appreciate how each shot perfectly captures the importance of each object being shown. The one shot is significant in God of War because it makes the visuals flow and the experience seem more immersive. The way the action flows from cutscene to gameplay, from Kratos' perspective to Atreus, makes the player feel more immersed in the story. The visuals of God of War remind us that this experience is not just a game, but a moving, interactive work of art.
Found some.
Get in the boat, boy.
Every story must convey information about the narrative. The player should understand what world they are in, the conflict, and the backstory of the characters. A story ought to convey this world in a way that is interesting and exciting to the audience. Unfortunately, many games use lengthy, boring exposition to explain this plot. This looks like a character spelling out word for word what occurred in previous games, or a villain giving a lengthy, drawn-out speech explaining his motives. We all know that this dialogue is just for the player. As a result, lengthy exposition makes the world seem contrived and less believable.
Such an unlikely rival. Was almost invigorating to have one. And yet, it's a fitting end.
Not before I end you. I've seen your experiments. It's what we call inhuman.
And what I call progress.
One way to avoid exposition dumps and make the story seem more exciting is through visual storytelling. Show the viewer through the visuals what is happening in the story. In the first few minutes of the game, the player understands the kind of relationship Atreus has with his father, with very little dialogue exchanged. This image expresses the son's perception of his father as a domineering, distant mystery. The camera takes a low angle to show the boy's perspective. It highlights the strong, aggressive presence Kratos represents. Visually, he towers above his son, paralleling the emotional, domineering force in the boy's life. Also notice how he is covered in shadow and framed by snow. This expresses that Atreus knows little about his father. It also represents the distant, complicated relationship they have at the beginning of the game. This scene also uses the music to express the complicated emotions Kratos is dealing with while mourning his wife. Even though his face is stoic, we understand that he feels loss. The music shifts from aggressive to romantic, romantic to heroic. A war of emotion is happening behind Kratos' cold exterior.
You are free.
The camera can convey a lot of things without the use of dialogue, yet God of War also utilizes conversation when necessary. Atreus will often comment on the plot in a way that is true to his innocent, curious nature. The story conveys the information that the viewer needs to understand, but does so in a way that is organic and unforced. Notice how dialogue helps advance the plot here in a believable way without being too wordy or obvious.
Are you the last of your kind too? Is that why you don't like to talk about
My kind?
I mean, your family. Before Mother and I. Where you came from. Mother, the father?
Now is not the time for that.
Yes, sir.
The visuals of God of War are also supplemented by the immensely talented performances of gifted actors. Sunny Suljic is an unbelievably skilled child actor. His performance shapes Atreus into the lovable, brilliant character that the players will grow to love. Christopher Judge is also talented. He is able to uphold the sternness of Kratos' character and occasionally expose a thickly veiled layer of the father's compassionate side.
So I'm a man now. Like you?
No. We are not men. We are more than that. The responsibility is far greater. And you must be better than me. Understand? Say it.
You will be better.
The power of this weapon, any weapon, comes from here. But only when tempered by this. By the discipline
the self-control of the one who wields it. That is where the true strength of a warrior lies. You must never forget that.
That is talented visual storytelling. God of War is one of the most impressive cinematic experiences I've ever had the pleasure of witnessing. It is one of the best games I've ever played, and I hope the players celebrate this game as the true visual accomplishment and masterpiece that it is. Hey guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to keep in touch. It's becoming harder than ever for me to interact with you guys because Google is not letting you know when my videos are coming out. So if you follow me on social media, you can keep updated through Twitter or Facebook and be notified when my new videos are coming out. And I definitely reply to tweets and Facebook messages if you want to get in contact with me. That's an easier way to do it. I just want to thank the patrons as well for helping me keep this going. This is a hobby, but this is a very expensive hobby, and you guys help me keep it going, and I really enjoy handwriting my postcards that I send to you every month. So if you're interested in getting a postcard or just committing to the channel, being able to request the content that I make, then definitely check out my Patreon. And I want to let you know that you guys inspire me to keep making amazing content, and I can't thank you enough. I should go.